Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. This is your English teacher, and here it is the summary of today's lecture. So now let us start. Okay, here we have our topic, imagery. Imagery means to use figurative language to represent objects, actions, and ideas in such a way that it appeals to our physical sense. As I said, that imagery is a figurative language. It's a figure of speech, okay, which is used usually for writing some stories or text, as well as in the poems as well, okay. Now the imagery is clearly written, as I said, in the text form as well as in the poetry or in the poems, okay. Acha. Now imagery means that anything that creates an image in your mind, okay, anything that creates a picture in your mind, okay, is called imagery, okay. Anything that when you read it, when you hear it, and it creates an image in your minds, it means that an imagery is used over there. I repeat, imagery means to use figurative language to represent objects, actions, and ideas in such a way that it appeals to our physical sense. Means किसी भी चीज़ को इस तरीके से प्रेजेंट करना, ठीक है, कि वो आपकी फिजिकल सेंस उसको फील करे, like you physically feel it, ठीक है. The word imagery is associated with imagery pictures that we draw in our minds by use of particular words that create visual representation of ideas. As I said, something that creates a picture in our mind. ठीक है? अच्छा. Now here if you see the words, it was dark and dim in the forest. The word dark and dim appeals to our sense of sight. Now here when you read the word or hear the word dark and dim, so what comes to your mind? The sense of sight. The sense of sight. The children were screaming and shouting in the fields. Now screaming and shouting, it creates or it appeals to the sense of hearing. He smelled the aroma of coffee. Smelled an aroma appeals to the sense of smell. So anything that appeals to our any sense organs, it means that it is creating an image in our mind. Okay? Achha. Then here we have the girl on her hand on a soft stained fabric. The idea of soft, like the softness, when you put your hand on something and you feel it's a soft or it's a hard, so it appeals to the sense of touch. Okay? The fresh and juicy orange is very cold and sweet. Juicy and sweet associated with orange, so it appeals the effect of taste. Okay? Acha. Imagery needs the aid. Acha. When you use the word imagery for showing the imaginations, the imagery pictures, these things, for that it must be needing the figure of speech like the simile, the metaphor, and the personification. Whenever you would see the imagery, it's showing the imagery, so there must be simile or metaphor or personification used, okay, in order to appeal the physical sense. Okay? Now it was all about the use of text. Now if you see in the poetry, imagery in poetry, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Now in this poem, in these two lines, the imagery, how do you come to know? When you see the word, you read the word, a host of golden daffodils, definitely a big number of golden daffodils come to your mind. आपके mind में एक ground आता है, a ground comes to your mind, having the golden daffodils, a big number, ठीक है, and they are moving from here to there. An image, a picture creates in your mind. Okay? So here, in this way, the imagery is used in the poetry. Okay? Poets use language to appeal to the sense through use of imagery. In the line above, the poet uses the sense of sight to create a host of golden daffodils beside the lake. Now, in the poetry or in the poem, you would mostly observe that an imagery is used. Okay? Imagery is mostly used by the poets, because when we read the poem, so definitely a picture comes to our minds. Different types of scenes are being created in our minds. Okay? Achha, so it was all about the imagery. Having the next topic, connotation and denotation. The connotation mean the contextual meaning or the hidden meaning, and denotation means the meaning according to the dictionary. Let me read it here. Connotation and denotation are Two principal methods of describing the meanings of the word. These are the two principles, the two rules to find out the meanings of the word. Like one word having two different meaning. Number one according to the text and the other one according to the dictionary. Connotation means C represent the contextual meaning. Denotation represent to the dictionary meaning. आपके लिए कैसे याद रखेंगे connotation का क्या मतलब है? Denotation what does it mean? C the contextual meaning, D the dictionary meaning. ठीक है? अच्छा. Now here they had given a example of a snake. Here they have defined the word snake according to the dictionary, and here they have defined the word snake according to the text. Like when you hear the word snake, the दो meanings आपके mind में आते हैं. One, an animal, a kind of reptile, ठीक है? And then snake, like a kind of nature comes to your mind. कि इंसान की जो nature है, what is according to that? The danger comes to your mind as well as an evil things come to your mind. ठीक है? अच्छा. Then I gave you the homework related to the connotative and denotative. Okay, you have to find out the meanings of these words according to the connotative meaning and denotative meanings. Okay? Then which lines of the poem indicate metaphor and imagery? You have to find out the meanings. You have to find out the lines in the poems that which show the metaphor and imagery. Okay? And then exercise C. Specify whether the following lines are from the poems you have read earlier represent personification, simile, metaphor, or imagery. Line number 1, it shows a simile. I wandered lonely as a cloud. He tried his velvet hand. The metaphor. The third line, even if they are a cloud of sorrows, shows personification. I faked a small smile and then shifted away, shows an imagery. Which is the bliss of solitude, shows the metaphor. They looked like frightened beasts, I thought. The simile shows the simile. A host of golden daffodils, the metaphor. This being human is a guest house, it's a metaphor. The weed before me was dying or dead, the personification. It shows the personification. 10,000 saw I at a glance, the imagery. Okay? So this is exercise C. Exercise D, which word or phrase in the poem mean the same as? React to hardships means that kept so many warm. Next, hope never stops and never stops at all. Found everywhere means I have heard it is in the chilliest land. Found everywhere, it means I have heard it in the chilliest land. Lives in the soul means that perches in the soul. Effect of hardships that could abolish the little bird. So it was all about the exercise D. Here we end the lecture here. Inshallah we'll continue rest of the things in the next lecture. Till then, take care of yourself, stay happy, stay blessed and stay safe.